Akademiks can't ride no wave.
But when I see all these people come around and act like, they're my best friend and, all this shit, I'm like, hold on a second. This isn't exactly what really went down growing up. So
haven't you got that? So what happened to me when I popped off via the internet,
mm-hmm.
It was a little bit, it was shocking for me with my schoolmates. I went to Rutgers.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time on the campus.
And a lot of those people, they turned into the biggest haters. They would start putting stuff out like, yo, this is how he was back in school. Like, yo, why do you guys like him? It was like them trying to explain or trying to bring me down, in the eyes of other people to be like, no, I know the real him. Like, he's not that cool. He's not whatever. Like, we used to treat him different here. Like, what's up with you? Have you got that?
Well, what happened to me was, at its conception, yes, people started hating. People started talking about how cringe it is. My parents didn't like what I did. But once it gets to a certain point, it's kind of undeniable that this is something that you've, hugely benefited from. No one could really hate without just looking like a piece of shit, looking like they're jealous. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like a similar trajectory I would say most creators are on. It's a lot of flack from the start, but then everyone starts to just realize, well, this is successful whether or not I like the content.
So when I think about my career, right? I think, well, even most people's career, I always think it's a mix between you're the right person, but it has to be the right time. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, when I popped off, I was trying to be a radio personality. Obviously, people are shifting to receiving their media through the internet, YouTube videos, short videos. That's how I was the guy doing that. So I popped off. When I look at you, ever since I've heard about you, I'm telling you, I've just seen everything that has to deal with things that you've talked about. Like, for example, I'm watching ESPN, and they have Eli Lilly advertisements in the background. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? One of the biggest pharmaceutical companies that they do a lot with peptides.
Peptide, yeah, they're about to have that approved. Yep.
And then I see everybody's talking about peptides. Everybody and I look at it, I'm like, did he create the wave? And this is the question I ask about every creator who just pops off, because it's like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, there's a question of, did he create the wave of, hey, listen, let me help these young men improve and this, that, and third? Or was it the right time that was necessary and there was a vacuum in the market and everything else needed that to happen and he was the guy? Mm-hmm. So I'm asking with you, what do you think? Because from my perspective, I never heard about these things before you. But you probably were in a different community that maybe it was already getting popularized.
I think things were pretty primed for me to come in, because I think around the time of last year, about 9 to 10% of people in America were on GLP-1s. So it was already a growing industry, but using it for a looks maxing, you're using it in a looks maxing context, I would say was really something that I kind of brought along, because GLP-1s were only prescribed for people with, severe obesity issues, type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetics. Now everyone is on Retta, even if they're skinny, right? Because they want to maintain that or go even further. So I'd say that is kind of a wave that I pushed. And I've been on peptides for a long time before you'd ever hear any of this shit on any media, on TikTok, whatever. And I started talking about it, and it gained a lot of traction to the point where every single person had a peptide affiliate deal and was doing this and doing that. And I didn't even make any money on peptides or kind of their popularity for the longest time. I had no affiliate deal, no nothing. I was just talking about this stuff for the love of the game, because it was like some new thing that I had.
Want a special peptide that maybe obviously not like you create, but something that they could probably it's I see a lot of creators with whether it's maybe a creatine or whatever else. Yeah. You can do something like that?
Well, the thing that I might be able to
maybe
do,
a stack or something like that.
A peptide blend where it's a few different compounds that I would, commonly recommend to people, that could be called the Clav stack or whatever. But To create a new peptide, that's like,
Yeah,
unlikely.
but would you do that? Because I would think that when people are thinking about this, they're not thinking about just how popular you're getting in social media, but they're thinking that you probably have some incentive with some of these products because this is like $1 billion industry, right? Like, and I think your influence has probably driven hundreds of million more new dollars into people trying to either research and stuff, buy these things and shit. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people would think that maybe deserve a cut.
No, absolutely. But the problem is a lot of it's being FDA approved. So it's big pharmaceutical companies like Eli and Lilly. And once they get that done, no one will be able to sell retatrutide as a research chemical. So basically, the way that it works now is you could put for research only on the label, and you could sell all non-approved peptides. That is like, the melanotan 2 and right now retatrutide. All of these gray market peptides is just about labeling. But once they get approved, no longer can sell, or else FDA will come after you.
I knew I was gonna hang with you for a bit, so I did a bunch of research on some of these things. So that melanotan thing, that's a peptide that you inject.
Correct.
That increases like
melanogenesis.
Your sensitivity or whatever or your melanin sensitivity, which makes you tanner.
Not your melanin sensitivity, the amount of melanin that you produce. So melanogenesis is what it's called.
So it's like tanning with an injection.
Correct. Yes. And it's good because then you get to reduce your UV exposure, which is a hugely carcinogenic activity to go out and tan, get in a tanning bed, whatever. That causes skin cancer, right? So
do all these things work?
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean by work?
Okay, like for example, if you've been on that, right? Is there like a before and after? You're like, yo, dog, I'm a little bit, a little bit more tan just off an injection. Because some of this stuff, I do think that people are like. I watched a conversation with you, and somebody said, "Listen, in reality." Clav is just, he is going through puberty and his testosterone levels versus, maybe some 45-year-old guy who's watching and be like, yo, I'm just squishy all over. I'm trying to get like pretty lean and whatever looks max. They basically said maybe it's more having a placebo effect rather than an actual effect. And when people look at you and any changes that happen to you or maybe younger kids, it's just puberty.
So yeah, there's the common argument of that. And yeah, absolutely. Puberty is something that you could attribute a decent portion of anyone's looks transformation towards. But when we're talking about anabolic steroids, peptides, this is not your over-the-counter bullshit supplements that have been pushed by like YouTube fitness influencers that are either bunk or really do nothing. And then they'll do a study and realize the placebo group actually has similar results. There is real research behind all of this kind of stuff that makes it undeniable that they contribute in a meaningful way towards anyone's ascension, right? Testosterone, by taking exogenous hormones, you could, 5x, 10x, whatever you want, really, your testosterone levels. And to suggest,
Can't you overdose?
Can't you overdose?
Yeah, like
you can't overdose off testosterone, but what could happen is you could take a dose that's high enough, your blood pressure will, be far too high, and you'll have cardiovascular issues. Your hair will fall out. So yeah, you can get side effects, but not anything like an overdose. So,
well, the reason why
you can absolutely die from taking too many steroids.
Well, maybe even peptides, right? So
peptides, no.
The majority of what I've seen with peptides, they aren't like, for example, I heard you talk about peptides one time or some injection, and you're like, yo, I do it myself. And you had this other one, you were like, man, I just went in the bathroom and shot something in my dick, that was wild.
Well, that's not a peptide. That's a little bit different. But yeah, no.
What's wrong with just taking Viagra, bro?
Viagra is even worse.
Yo, I gotta show you a honey pack, bro.
Honey pack, well, that's just placebo. All that does is
honey pack?
Nitric oxide. That's
actually chat.
That's the same as taking like a pre-workout pump stack. It just is going to give you a little bit of blood vessel dilation. You're better off taking something like Cialis for that. Cialis.
Yeah, but you're just trying to get it ranked for like a small period of time.
No. That's what Cialis would be better. Honey pack really does nothing. It's just completely bullshit.
If it's bullshit, I'm telling you, that thing works. That thing.
well,
So maybe there's
placebo is a powerful thing, right?
Yeah.
Placebo can work. You know, giving someone a sugar pill and putting them through a trial can have results because placebo does work. But like if you give someone a sugar pill, tell them, here, take this every day. In 4 weeks, you'll be stronger. You know, it could have some impact.
How much you think that, like, I'll break it down for the chat in here. So, yo, I get to the crib, nice crib, by the way. My man walks in, and I guess it's his first meal out of jail. Real meal. My boy got like was that hamburger from McDonald's?
Yep.
And I'm looking at you, I'm like, I would think that you'd be the person be like, yo, bro, I can't eat a burger. Like, I'm eating lean meat, I'm eating grilled chicken, I'm pretty much on a control, like, you know, calorie count, really portion meals. But he came in with a burger, man. Just
Well, here's the thing that people really don't understand is it's just about the total amount of macros you hit, right? So if you're in a caloric deficit, it really doesn't matter that much what you eat. It's just going to be a lot harder, right? So they've done studies where people only eat, you know, Rice Krispie treats or Twinkies and bullshit like that, and you lose weight the same as if you have the equal amount of calories in beef, right? It really doesn't matter too much.
it doesn't matter with like how lean you are. Maybe the same weight, but
No. With, you know, how quickly you're going to lose weight.
Okay.
2,000 calories in Twinkies or 2,000 calories in sweet potatoes is going to, you know, be the same for weight loss. But obviously there's not going to be the same nutrients and other benefits. So yeah, in an ideal world, you're going to eat as healthy as possible. But, you know, if I'm out and about, I'm on the go and I need to pick up a burger, as long as I keep my calories low for the day, because I know that burger might not be as satiating as eating Whole Foods or whatever, you know, pre-planned chicken and rice meal. As long as I'm aware of that, which with Retta, I don't even need to be. My body's, I'm already having a hard time overeating to begin with. It's not going to be problematic, you know?
Where'd you do all the research and get all the research for? Because one thing I noticed about you is that, you know, it's the infamous clip I see you on Fresh and Fit, and you were speaking like you were a plastic surgeon. Like you're like, yo, bro, the dimorphic bifacial this of like your chin, bitch, you got a big chin. Like you were really like next level, like pretty much exact down to. I was Googling these things. I'm like, maybe he's just full of shit because there's always some snake oil salesman in a sense where I always know the stupid nigga, okay, that says big words to fool the other stupid people that don't understand the big words, and they're like, that guy is smart. I know a couple of those people, okay? But
and that works, but if you're on a live stream with, you know, millions of people seeing the clips, eventually someone's gonna figure out that you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So that strategy really doesn't work too much on the internet.
Where does the research come from?
Well, the research comes
what would encourage you to start that research? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like it's, you know, you're a 20-year-old kid. Like, there's no point that says, hey, listen, you should really get really in depth with some of these things, whether it's like peptides, whether it's like, you know, even the actual science behind why someone is attractive and not. How do you go down that realm?
Well, I mean, since about the age of, you know, 14, I was in all these niche parts of the internet, going through different forums.
It's Reddit,
you know, no, nothing like Reddit. Just going through different studies on things I had an interest in, you know, pharmacology. So this is something I've been researching for 6 years, really. And I would spend every single day at school, you know, during lunch when people were all in the cafeteria fucking around, I'd be on my computer reading various studies, you know, watching different YouTube videos, just educating myself on a ton of different subjects, right? Because looks maxing is extremely comprehensive. Where, you know, back in the day, the only thing we really had for male self-improvement was the gym, right? Whereas looks maxing, that's all part of it, but we also have to keep in mind, you know, not having any detriment to our hairline, you know, if we're talking about certain steroid stacks, so how to properly block like DHT and how to improve your face. All these kind of things have to be factored in when you're talking about fitness. There's a lot more emphasis on the face.
You know, the level of research and knowledge that you kind of put into it. One thing I think why, you know, I don't know how many people you have watching you here, but to me, it's clear that, you know, and with all due respect to like, say, like Tate, I think currently the young 17-year-old, especially Caucasian, they look at you as their leader. Would you acknowledge that?
I would say so, yeah.
And it's, you know, I've kind of watched you wrestle with what that means a bit. Whether you should.
You don't want to be in the spotlight. Now, believe me, Tate knows, you know, just as much as I do, how much of a challenge it becomes when you have real influence over, you know, the male youth, which is the up and coming voters. A lot of people want to make sure, you know, you're going to play ball with their side of the aisle and, you know, go about this talking point, support that, support this, act a certain way, not be too crazy. So, yeah, no, I mean, how they locked up Tate in Romania, it's like, you know, you experience a level of that. Obviously, I was only in for a day, but, you know, it starts to happen really quickly.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched you kind of go through the, you know what, as part of every human, you know, you might have thoughts about like politics, whatever. And I think there was a point you're like, even though you might have your own independent thoughts, you felt like there was like an agenda and like they were pushing you to almost be influential in that type of realm. And you fell back from the politics stuff. Like you didn't want to be the guy who's, you know, I watched the thing with peers and you're like, listen, I don't talk about looks maxing.
Yeah, I mean, I never really had any vested interest in politics regardless. It was just something that I thought was like, you know, maybe, well, I mean, I really had no authority to begin with. So it was just something that I thought.
You feel your knowledge, like
Yeah.
to me, you have a really good knowledge base on like peptides and things to do with looks.
Right. If
do
I'm
you feel
not,
like if you had to talk about like Iran and stuff like that, that's not stuff you're like really.
yeah,
Like you might know some stuff, but you don't really give a fuck.
exactly. I mean, I've got a bit of understanding about, you know, geopolitics and whatever scene we're in right now, but it's not something I'm really at authority for to be speaking on because I influence people and I know that, and I know there's a responsibility there. So I'm not going to go around speaking about Iran when I haven't done the proper amount of research, because I come back and I think, you know, how much research have I done? How long has it taken me to form a solid opinion about looks maxing? Years, right? And politics, I haven't spent nearly the same amount of time talking about anything along those lines.
Hey, you know, my mom always tell me, well, really, this is a common thing you're told anyway. You could tell your opinions on everything are usually welcome, but you got to stay out of politics. You got to stay out of religion.
Correct.
Those things people have developed. These are decades and centuries of, you know, historical, like ancestral feelings that have now, that if you think you're just breaking it down like real quick, like, oh, 2 and 2 makes 4, it's like, no, buddy.
There's real emotion behind it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't want to get involved. And there's a lot of other reasons besides, you know, it just being difficult to form a media career on why I don't talk about politics. They're simply not going to get you anywhere as a young man, right? And I tell my followers this all the time. You know, if you are prioritizing politics, spending 6 hours of your day scrolling on X, reading the news, and you don't even have a job, it's like your priorities are just completely fucked. And you might be able to speak about Iran and the war and all this shit and be a complete expert, but what the fuck is that going to do for you?
Okay, so let's focus on, you know, I heard you say, which this is a, you know, I don't know if I fully agree, but I agree somewhat, but I want to hear you kind of break it down a little bit more. You said, which I think it kind of goes a little bit against what they, you know, they try to put you in the manosphere. I don't know if you've owned that title, you know, right? I mean,
No.
But so in the manosphere, I'm not really quoting anyone verbatim, but I think just watching the whole field, if you watch enough people in the manosphere, you're probably going to take away, listen, level up your money, you're going to get these bitches, right? It's like a money bitches conversation. If that's your goal, right? If your goal is to, how do I improve to get more women, to get more opportunities, to get more social status, is usually a one-to-one. Like, you know, obviously, they're still going to say fitness is and third, but money is always the main thing.
Correct.
And I watch you kind of like, almost like flip that on his head saying, yeah, money is important, but one of the probably underrated things, especially for men, because I don't think there's ever been a time where people have talked about men's looks. Like it's
Right.
usually was once you get money, who gives a fuck if you have a beer belly?
Correct.
This bitch is gonna want you. And you started making some really interesting things. Now I've been thinking about it. Like you were like, yeah, listen, they'll treat you better. Like
Right. And
you'll get more opportunities.
I've seen it on both sides because obviously improving your looks and having a transformation is going to be the number one thing that anyone could really accomplish in order to completely change how everyone treats you, whether it's men or women, because a lot of this stuff pertains to job interviews and, you know, getting passed up on promotions based on your looks. So there's a lot more to it than just girls, right? Because if you were to go this deep into pharmaceuticals and looks maxing just for women, I would say that might be a little bit too much. But with how well-rounded everything becomes in terms of your quality of life, it's very important to looks max. The other thing that I say is, you know, I've had that status that, you know, I've changed my life very quickly. So I know what it's like to be a normal guy and to be famous or whatever. And that did a lot for me. Probably one of the craziest, 4 months anyone could experience. So I've seen both sides. But if you tell people to go out there and get status, they might be able to get a job that's high status, or maybe they own a small company in New Jersey or whatever.
Yeah.
But is that status going to be comparable to mine or Andrew Tate? Absolutely not. So you have to include that nuance that I am one of the top of the top percentiles with status. That's not going to be able to be achieved by many people. So you might as well tell them, hey, here's some realistic advice for you. Lose 10, 20 pounds, get tan, maintain your hairline, and that's really going to be something that is quite easy for a lot of people to do.
What about maybe there's still a population of, I think, men who reject that, and they're like, that sounds like you're gay. Like, they're like, listen, being hyper focused on looks, that's a female trait.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of looks maxing, that's feminine,
Mm-hmm.
which is, what do you say to that?
I say, how could something that helps you get more women be gay? It doesn't really make any sense to me. When I'm thinking about these women swarming me at the club, I'm like, because of looks maxing, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the gayest thing ever.
Do you think that's because, so it's a give and take. Like I've always said, I remember the actual point. Trust me, I remember almost to the day where I stopped getting women for anything beyond what my stage name was. The idea that it was academics, and that's all that mattered. It was fame. It was fame and perceived money that comes with the fame. Now, how much do you attribute to both? Like you're making good money, I gotta imagine, right? Making good money, super popular, but you're doing looks maxing. Do you think that maybe, I don't know, if you reduce yourself like a 4 or 5 points on the looks level, you don't think that women would attract to you at the same level?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that I would be able to do what I do, where I go to the club, point out all these women, bring them to my section, and have as big of a female audience as I do with the content that I make, right? Almost nothing that I do is for female.
Why do you think? I agree with you.
Almost not there. You can't point out a single.
Why
piece of
do
content.
women? Why are they drawn to you like that?
Because I would say because of looks.
It's just attraction, like metrics. You're hitting it, which usually it's like an instinctive thing.
Yeah, and all status really allows you to do is have a bigger reach, right? So I'm blasting my face out to more people than the average guy would be able to. So maybe if someone else was someone more attractive than me, if they had the same reach and the same platform I did, they would have similar results, but maybe they're just not seen because they have 1,000 followers on Instagram and I've got 500,000, for example, whatever. So yeah, status is a big part of it, no doubt. And I would be a complete fool to reject that. But I would say that without the looks, that really wouldn't be there, the female demographic.
And I think I've kind of watched over time, because I've been baffled too. I'm like, yo, these chicks are just going like, and again, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm like, again, the amount of like fanfare, and obviously I know you have a huge audience, but the amount of women going, I'm like, yeah, you're kind of like living proof of what you're saying, right? So it's like, it's not like, there's a lot of people like in like the red pill community, they'll say something, but they're like, yo, don't date single moms. Their wife and a single mom. You know what I mean? So like they're actually hypocrites.
Yeah.
With you, and I think that's why like the stream is going crazy. They're watching you literally give an ideology, showcase things you care about. Mm-hmm. You're in a roundabout age way, and they're watching the results every day. Mm-hmm. And they're like, this guy's improving his life every day. He's doing more. And I get that part of it. So that's where my opinion has been like changed a bit.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, there's so much footage of me out there posted over the years. You asked me how many followers I have on Instagram. The clavicular figure didn't really exist on these public platforms until quite recently, but there was a lot of documentation done. I would post on this one forum called looksmax.org. So there's videos of me when I was a normal guy working a normal job, complaining about all this shit, complaining about how annoying online dating was, how annoying it was to be unattractive and all this kind of shit. And then people see me going from that, me doing all these looks maxes, which I carefully documented, to ascending. And now I'm getting all these girls and doing all this kind of shit. They're like, wow, like you said, it's one-to-one proof that, you know, looks maxing can be quite transformative for your entire quality of life. So,
yeah, I want to give you some credit. And I've always said this in the chat, not trying to get the chat racial here. I've always said all the cool shit comes from black people. Dances for the most part, lingo, black people make it cool, but then it just gets adopted by the world.
Yep.
I think you're the only white dude who has now made like language. Like I'm watching true black former athletes. They're on ESPN, and all of a sudden one of them says, yo, this guy's gesture maxing. It was like, yo, did he mog him here? And I'm like, yo, we have the whole world now adopting, and usually we're seeing culture go away. We never see it go. And, thank you. And it's all because that's real influence.
Yeah, and I never really thought about that until you brought that up. Almost all culture is from African Americans. Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever slang, you know what I mean? It's the reason why people
almost all like pop culture.
Yes, pop culture.
I just infuriated all of my fucking traditional. I mean, so pop culture, you're absolutely right. It is from African Americans in a lot of regards.
Like think about like the idea of someone says cap, right? Cap comes from like some rappers in Atlanta. Now everybody, it's like a ubiquitous word. It's like everybody says cap.
Yeah.
But it's rare that we see someone who is Caucasian kind of say so. And I think what that does is defining. Mm-hmm. I think Andrew Tate, even though Andrew Tate's a mixed man, right? Mm-hmm. He's half black, half white. I think it's always been brewing almost a resurgence of white young men feeling proud to be white young men. Mm-hmm. And that's not to be confused with like white nationalists or like white supremacists, but like people feeling like, hey, listen, we could have our own thing.
Well, yeah, because it really just gets embarrassing when you see these white kids trying to act like they're black, like they're like essentially like wigger maxing or whatever.
Wigger maxing.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of just cringe. Like it's embarrassing, right? When you see like these kids like trying to sag their pants.
The white dude with a do-rag.
Yeah, and act all gangster and stuff. It really just is silly. It is like cool that I don't have to do any of that shit and like pretend to be someone I'm not. I could just be as authentic as possible. That way, when I'm doing like these long IRL streams or the 24-hour stream, whatever, it's not like anything changes for me because I'm just doing whatever the fuck I want, you know?
You've made the white frat dude like super cool again. Hey, help me with some of these terms.
Well, it's funny because the white frat dude was the guy who was making fun of me and my content not long ago. But now it's been just so normalized and so mainstream that, yeah, you're absolutely right. They kind of all adopted it. So
Oh, that's kind of interesting, huh?
yeah, because I, used to criticize fraternities all the time. I used to say it was the worst thing ever. I think frats are so cringe, but now it's like, they show a lot of love and stuff like that. I just don't like the whole like hazing
stuff.
thing. And it's like, oh, I have to do all this drinking and stupid shit, all these challenges to just to have friends. It's a little bit silly, but now, yeah, they show love. So it's a little different now.
Help me with some of these, I'm not even gonna lie, like me and my black friends, we like, well, we probably use it wrong though. Like, so I seen the mugshot and I said to my man, I'm like, yo, my boy Clav got swag. Yo, look, he's frame mogging the mugshot. Like, I don't even know if I'm using some of these terms right. You kind of give me the, what's it called, the epistemology of like where these words came from or where these slangs came from and how to use them, because I don't know. I think everybody just put Mog or Max after everything.
So yeah, a lot of it gets used wrong and gets lost in translation. But a Mog is essentially being better than someone at a certain thing. So if you're mogging someone, that usually is referring to, in its simplest form, just looking better than them. Like, there used to be like Mog compilations that get posted on YouTube a few years back of just like something where it'd be like a tall, like handsome dude who's like jacked next to like an ugly, like subhuman looking guy.
Yo, why do you use words? Yo, subhuman, it's like trying to be politically correct, but it comes off worse. Yo, subhuman is crazy.
No, it's one of the craziest terms.
Yo, you called it like the president guy, the vice president. You said the guy looks subhuman.
Well, yeah.
What is that?
Subhuman is just, well, I mean, in its actual definition, yeah.
Subhuman sounds like some slavery shit. Like, yo, this guy's subhuman. Well, that's how people hear it. I know that's not what you mean.
Yeah, but the way that we actually refer to the word subhuman in the looks maxing community is it's just...
Oh, so it comes from that community.
It comes from looks maxing, and it's just someone who's not good looking. Really, like it's below like the low tier normie. So it's like the lowest you can go on the rating scale. It's got
below
really,
5.
But below low tier normie, which is like, subhumans around like 2 and below. So it's quite brutal. Yeah, and it does sound, it's a very dehumanizing term, but it's really not like meant like that, I guess you can say.
Okay, no, I get it.
It's not meant to like fully dehumanize someone or have some racial connotations to it, or like,
yeah, I've never even seen
eugenics.
You use it.
Yeah,
I've seen you use it talking about white dudes.
Right, of course, and it really just is like, a way to say like this dude is like so brutally ugly that he's like below a human and looks like, how could you even be the same species?
So it's even beyond below average. How do you objectively?
Yeah.
Again, I watched on Fresh and Fit. It felt like there was an objective method to how you viewed looks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, shit, I've been on Fresh and Fit a bunch of times, and I've done that same thing where I'm rating these women. And while rating these women, like, it's really subjective. It's more subjective for me than objective. When I was watching you do it, it felt like, and maybe there's an objective base from you coming out of this looks maxing community.
Yeah.
What's the objective base in judging looks for men and for women?
So the way that it works is it's based off a total harmony percentage score. So there's a ton of different ratios, essentially like the golden ratio. I don't know if you've heard of this. Whereas if you overlay all of this onto someone's face, you're sort of able to calculate all these different measurements and come up with the score. So one of the ratios being like the distance in between your eyes relative to the distance of your cheekbones is 1. So you put a line here, and then a line here, and divide it. And ideally you're around 0.47, so somewhere like that. For your ESR, and there's the mid-face ratio, which is the distance between your eyes relative to the distance to the corners of your mouth. It's supposed to be around 1 to 1. And obviously the more ratios that are close to that ideal, that 1 to 1, or whatever is the ideal, and according to some of the looks max harmony scores, the better score that you get, right? So you do all these calculations, and then you come up with, okay, this person's around 80% facial harmony. Quite good. This person's 70%, whatever. And I could,
Has that science proved socially correct with the people
yes.
who most people call attractive? Do they score high on that?
Yes, no, absolutely.
Really?
Yes, this is all based on science. This is not subjective at all. So very good universal system to use. The only criticism that's been given to this system is it's a little bit racist potentially. So like, you talk about the ideal width of the nose, for example, relative to the width of the face. And then, maybe that wouldn't be ideal for most people who are of African descent. But it's really not meant to be racist at all. It's really not.
So maybe you just have a tilted scale if you're of
Yeah,
Asian descent, and then maybe if you're African American or
right.
you're from different parts of the world. Okay,
Of
but I get the
course.
idea though.
Yeah, so
get the
that's the idea. And am I 100% accurate when I'm doing these ratings? No, right? But I'm close enough where I'm able to figure out, okay, this person's around this percentile, so I could score them as average, right? So 5 out of 10. So I'm like, okay, this person, maybe I'm within 5% facial harmony, so maybe they're 45th or 55th percentile, but I'm saying, okay, they're average.
What about preference?
Preference would come down to phenotypes, right? So maybe you prefer someone who's got a Mediterranean phenotype with a girl who's super tan, got dark hair, and maybe darker eyes, or you prefer a girl who is maybe Northern European who's got super blonde hair, super pale skin, blue eyes.
You don't think that would maybe preference might also affect? Hey, I want a woman with this particular shape faced, or you don't think
that's not a thing. Nobody prefers an ideal like eye separation, an ideal jaw. That is completely cope. So it would just come down to the phenotype.
What's your phenotypical preference for women?
I generally find
I feel like you like blondes, right?
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing is that's not actually their phenotype. It's all fake blonde hair. Every single bitch in America has her hair dyed blonde. So it's
There's some natural blondes, some rare, but
well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Okay.
But most bitches these days are dyeing their hair anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's not their natural coloring in any regard.
But continue with like the preference, because I think people do care about what you like.
I care about whether or not the girl is attractive, and if that's dark or light hair, doesn't matter to me.
Race.
White.
Is there
white
a preference?
girls. White girls.
What about an Indian chick?
I've never really
You ever
found
fucked an Indian chick?
No.
What?
No.
What about you fucked a Spanish chick? Gotta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have done that before. Typically, people are going to find themselves with a girl of the same, and facial leanness is a huge part of attraction.
I have a slight counter to that. Like, I have friends of all ethnicities, races, whatever. My black friends, like me and my one friend, right? His name is AJ, right? We'll look at a girl, and I'll say, like, he loves BBL chicks. I call half of those chicks fat. I'm like, that's just fat redistributed. Like, that's a fat bitch. But for him, he's like, dude, she's not fat. She's perfect. I like more of a petite woman, more likely. And I'll point out a woman who maybe fits that build, and he'll look at me and he says, yo, you like anorexic girls. So that becomes like this really distinct preference. And I do think within the black community, I do think there is a preference of what is normalized. And that could probably have the other implications you're talking about, or maybe those things affect that preference, where most women who would be probably on a BMI level, seemingly normal weight, they're almost seen as underweight. And women who would normally be overweight, they're like, no, they're normal, based on what you see on TV. Like, you see these chicks on TV? Like,
right. But the other thing is that there's also a cope involved with that. Your friend AJ, is he famous or anything like that?
he likes what like. But all right, listen.
Well, this is a very important.
Okay,
So is
no. So I'll use because he likes the same girls that like a rapper like Lil Baby would like.
Okay.
And a rapper like Lil Baby,
Okay.
a rapper like Lil Baby, like he's gonna go after the woman with like the big bodacious ass, like her belly button is moved up or down a couple centimeters because she's gotten all the works done. It's over accentuated features. If you actually look at it just on a scale, and by the way, I walked in the house, there's a motherfucking scale downstairs. Like, it's a fucking scale now.
Yeah.
I thought these things was like CGI. There's a fucking scale.
No.
Wait, what's a scale for?
Checking the BMI. It's a BMI calculator.
But hold on. Okay, a bitch who's, she's pushing it. She comes in here a little hefty, a little waddling, thighs touching. She steps on the scale. It says error or whatever it does. Are you telling her she got to get the fuck on out of here?
Well, the fucking problem that you run into is there's always one fat friend who comes with a group of hot girls, and you're just like, ah, shit. So you just put up with it, really.
No, you put your man. You always have your man to jump on the grenade. This goes back to Jersey Shore. Like, yo, we got a grenade.
No, here's the thing. I mean, these girls really don't like come over expecting that they're gonna get to hook up with like someone famous. I mean, they're just here for the experience. And the way that it works is every single woman who's in this house is generally here for me, right? I'm bringing them, I'm inviting them, and whichever ones I don't want to get with, there's sort of like a trickle down to the rest of the
So the cameraman's fucking.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean,
oh, he's pointing at the other guy.
Whatever.
Yeah, I can tell this guy right here getting a lot of residual pussy. That's what I call it.
But I mean, also a lot of the times I'll throw these fucking parties here, and then I'll have to step out for a business meeting. And then the girls, start going because it's that time of the night, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck. I mean, I would have liked to hook up with that girl, but I had to take this meeting downstairs or take this call with my fucking attorney, whatever. So that could happen too.
But I guess what I'm saying is, so what's the aversion to having the Mrs. Pearl of the group pull up to the crib? You know what I mean? BMI kicking off 45. You know what I mean?
I mean, like,
is it that you're like, yo, she's just not visibly appealing, or is it the idea that she's cock blocking? Probably.
The scale thing's a joke, but if you turn away the bigger friend, if the other three are good friends, they'll go on with her. But what's funny is sometimes you turn away one of the friends, the three still come in the door. But
what's the limit? You got to have like hold on now. All right, hold on. Step off and step on again. Let's see if you cross. What would be the BMI like?
I typically need just visual.
Okay, yeah.
Just visuals. A lot of the time the scale doesn't need to be put into play.
Yeah, so it's not that serious. So the scale is probably for
It's
more.
It's
okay.
more of a joke.
Okay, so back to Lil Baby, right? And this is most rappers. Most rappers, I always say, me and rappers don't have the same taste for women. I don't like women with a BBL.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like over accentuated features. I like women with normally proportioned bodies, and usually bodies that are not
natural,
plastic. Yeah, I like natural bodies.
As do I.
And in hip hop, those women are actually considered, if we're going to use a looks maxing term, subhuman to the girl with the BBL. The girl that was like 215 pounds, she gets lipo. I think they call it lipo 360 now. She sucks out some fat. She takes the other fat, stuffs it in her butthole or her buttocks, and creates some titties.
Mm-hmm.
Her waist looks like this. That's what in hip hop, for rappers especially, I see like a lot of people are attracted to. So that's why I was trying to have you explain, why do you think, because I think that's preference.
Well, here's the thing. The top of the top women aren't getting with rappers. You know what I mean? Because quite frankly, there's dudes who are better looking, have more money, have more status than these rappers, right? Even kick streamers, whatever streamers.
That's actually an interesting point you mentioned.
Have more money than these fucking rappers. You know what I mean? So that's not the highest end of what they're able to get with. So a lot of the times people have to cope and tell themselves that they have a preference for these kind of things, like maybe your friend, when it's actually not ideal at all. But it's easier for them to tell themselves, oh, I really like these women who have super fat asses. Maybe they're a little bit overweight. I just like a bigger girl. That's thickness. That's this, whatever. Then actually acknowledging the problem, they can't get with these top level women.
Maybe it is cope in hip hop a little.
It is cope. It is.
You know, at a point they changed the word fat to no, it's not. It's
Thick.
PHATT. It's not FAT. And then they're like, no, it's not fat. It's thick.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that's kind of all cope?
It's cope. Yeah, because think about it, right? I mean,
could someone actually be generally just attracted to? Yeah, she weighs like 188 pounds. She's supposed to weigh 135, but it's in the right places.
No,
there's like a
I really
fat
don't
ass.
think so. I don't think so. And it is funny how, like, you think about it for a second, rappers really don't have that much money. You know, they don't. They are financially irresponsible a lot of the time. They're buying stupid shit. They're blowing it all. Same with, like, you know, athletes too. They're 5 years after they're retired, they got no money left. Same thing is true with rappers. So they're just not that top echelon where they could get with these models who are in shape, have these perfectly natural bodies, beautiful faces.
I've been waiting to see Elon get a girl with a BBL. It'll break the bank. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, you know, the rappers just can't get the best. That's what I would say.
That's interesting. Well, so I'm gonna more agree with you because my preference, and I think my preference is pure, you know, but I'm pretty sure everybody thinks their preference is pure. It's not the woman with that goes back. I went on a date. Well, not a date. It was the first time meeting a girl, and I was so disgusted. I never talked to her again. She was telling me how she needed to go back to the surgeon to get a touch up, because after she had like some boob job, she noticed the lack of symmetry. The doctor had her nipple lower on like her left boob than her right, and I'm like, wait, how did this happen? She's like, well, during the surgery I got, they basically take her nipples off and they put them back on, and I was like, whoa, yo, this is what's going on. What's your thoughts on just overall? Because when people think about, there's an idea of some, let's call them normies. They might look at it to say, you can't shame someone who goes the route of getting plastic surgery or any type of modification if you are into doing all type of, even if it's, you know, kind of hacking your you know, biosystem or whatever. Like if you're doing peptides or whatever, it's the same as just using fat to create a visual look by BBL. Yeah.
So an ideal plastic surgery is one that you can't identify, right? So a girl walks into a room, you have no idea if she's got plastic surgery. There's no indicator of that. And that's a lot of the times not really the case, because people opt to get these super over the top like amounts of lip filler. So they're sitting there like, fucking this. Or
you don't like that?
The lip filler?
The white chicks that look like a fish, or like they
just too much. It's like you shouldn't have 3 syringes of lip filler. You should have half a syringe. Okay, then that's something that even I will have to be like, wait, do you have lip? And I could usually get it right, but there are some times where I don't notice a girl has lip filler, and I have to, check. I have to squeeze their lips and feel it.
But general, you're not opposed to plastic surgery.
No. I'm very pro surgery, but it should be surgery. I can't tell. If I take off a girl's shirt and I see these big fucking scars, and it's just, there's a certain way that the tits sit if it's fake, or if I see, just scars really anywhere.
You turned off?
I'm just like, not really turned off. I'm just like, okay, well, this is not a job well done. You shouldn't be able to tell when these surgeries take place.
I seen you on Peers. You mentioned you getting something done with like some jaw stuff.
I don't think
that facial stuff. That
was on Peers. I believe he asked me what I was injecting into my face, and I just told him fat dissolvers.
But did you say you were gonna get? Unless maybe I watched a fake video, maybe it was AI. Like that you were gonna do a surgery,
a double jaw osteotomy.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to that.
Are you still like in the mindset of that is something that's on the list of things you want to do, or have you?
Yeah, it is. It's really just been a matter of stuff with my career. Like I don't really even have a passport at this point to leave the country, so I have to handle a couple.
You've never
issues.
had a passport, or they took it?
my parents took it away. Actually, they ripped a couple pages out of my passport when I started, telling them I want to get plastic surgery. They were like, "Okay, fuck this," ripping it out. So I just never got it replaced. That's why I haven't done any international tours or things like that. So I'd have to address a couple issues before anything like that were to take place.
Is that surgery not offered in the United States?
It is. It's just not done for the purpose of aesthetics. It's done for the purpose of functionality and breathing. So to fix people's airway. So your jaw is, obviously you're breathing. If you've got a recessed mandible, recessed maxilla, you snore in your sleep, you get sleep apnea. These are all functionality issues that need to be addressed. But they won't do it for aesthetics necessarily. Or it's super expensive.
Is it risky?
No, not really. I mean, the worst part about it is just the recovery time. Mortality risk is essentially zero. It's just there's a multi-month process where you're going to be swollen, you're going to look like shit, and that's something that could really kill a career of a streamer, I guess you could say. So that's kind of what I was, considering.
I think right before we fired up the stream, you mentioned, which I was shocked by, that you've only been streaming since, what is it? I thought you were streaming for 2-3 years.
No, I've only been streaming since about November.
Really?
Yeah.
You're like one of the biggest on Kick. Why Kick? I would have thought. I thought I found you on Kick. And by the way, I think your influence on Kick has kind of just transcended every platform. Period. But
people don't even know where I stream. I ask them, where do I stream? They say, I got no fucking idea.
That's the power of clips, huh?
Yeah, and the thing that's good is that gives you a lot more power, right? Where Kick, the other day when I get banned, there's a lot more pressure for them to keep me on the platform so that I don't go elsewhere, because there is other alternatives out there.
Yeah, usually there was a time that people were on Kick because their content wasn't allowed on Twitch. Maybe they were stream, but I think now people are hey, listen, if I'm a little bit edgier, I'll just go to Kick.
Did it? I haven't seen it. I was just checking out my new house.
Oh. Personal house or content house?
Both.
Oh, you're gonna do actual content in your actual house?
Well, that's what I always do. I mean, God forbid
I feel like once you get to this level, you need what's called a content house, like say Kai Cenat.
No.
I thought it was good to go. You just rewind it 1 minute.
Okay.
I disagree because it's
Kai Cenat's never. I don't think he's ever streamed in his actual house.
Well, because it's I want to wake up and go. I like people around. I like to have a team. I like to have all my employees living with me. I don't need that privacy. I fucking hate that shit. I'd hate if I had to wake up and drive over to a house every time I want to stream instead of just wake up, got my whole team here, we talk about what we're doing, and then we go. So. But anyway, back to the whole thing about Twitch. Yeah, I could follow that TOS, but I really don't want to. Mike, are the mics good?
He said it was good. Audio's good, right?
Audio's on?
Audio's on?
Make sure it's...
Audio's good. Audio's good.
Why are they saying it's...
They said Brand Risk production team. wait, I thought Brand Risk got a good production team, though.
Everyone's saying audio's good. Production's saying it's good.
Okay, if it's good. So Kick, the reason I decided to go on there was I had just collabed with, 1 or 2 Kick streamers. I think I did Cheezer stream and then Cuffham stream. It went viral. Everyone loved me, and everyone said, do your own stream. They were on there, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna stream on Kick, so I'll do Kick. And I remember I had a Kick account because over the summer I had to make an account on Kick because I was gonna do it on Twitch when I met Nick for the first time, but I wasn't allowed to, so I had to host him on Kick. So I just continued streaming on there. The pay is quite good. You get to do the gambling, so I like Kick. They take care of me.
They told me you leaked your earnings the other day and say you're making 20 bands a day, at least during your subathon or your,
Yeah, but that's a misleading number because it's 20, 25 bands a day. But how much is the take home on that? It's fucking next to nothing. You know what I mean?
You got a huge production here, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
Do you ever look at it?
the only number that matters is the bottom line, and no one could fucking see the bottom line. So they see these numbers. Oh, Clav makes this, Clav makes that. It's like, yeah, maybe I'm grossing a good amount, but I dump every single like last dollar into continuing the push, and that's why I've grown so quickly. I'm not like these fucking
That's the point I was
retards
gonna ask.
who buy stupid shit. You know what I mean? I am a businessman, and I am reinvesting every single dollar into making sure my growth is continuing.
I hear that from Neon. He says that a lot because he pushes the limit as well. Kai kind of does the same. Let me ask you, just for a young creator out there, when you get to the point that you're having exponential growth, is it, because I know like in my own career, I felt like there was a point where you needed to increase the spend to get to here, but afterwards, like any increase in spend in trying to get to another level of success was like, it wasn't bringing back much return. So then it became, okay, let's cut costs, but not go below a certain level. Is it still exponential in you reinvesting and you just seeing even more growth?
Yes.
Or have you ever thought like, let me scale back a little bit? Because right now we're on like, this is like, this entire house is a set.
It's exponential, absolutely. And it'll be a long time before it isn't. And I really can't see a point before the next like 2 years or so that I won't see return on increasing the spend, because it's like, okay, the house we're moving into is a compound where I'm going to be able to have a bunch of different content creators living there with me and my whole team, and we're going to have the production, we're going to build on the property, a warehouse to have an actual like bunch
Are you
of
buying or renting?
buy.
Really? Oh, so this is a legit like investment for a longer term than just, let's stream here for a couple of months or like 3 months and we're out of here.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
So no, I'm very serious about my stuff, and I think that people are going to see over the next few years that I've gone about my social media career a lot smarter than people realize, because they only see what I allow them to, but they don't see the behind the scenes stuff that I'm doing. And that's where the magic happens.
One of the things I like about you, and I'm wondering where it comes from, you out of most creators, you're super blunt. Not only you're super blunt, and I'm pretty sure creators say this a lot, but I'm critical. I might not air everybody out, but I meet a lot of creators and they're one way off camera. Like they're a completely different person.
Not anyone? You're not going to air anyone out?
I think Neon's different off camera. I think Neon's like a whole different person. Like recently I kind of like aired him out. But I aired him out just because I'm like, listen, you don't have to give this idea like you're this guy that's an incel that, no. Bro, you get pussy, you're a popping guy, you're still nerdy and acting, but that's fucking cool. Who cares? But I think he has bitten into this idea, and I'm not calling him like he's a bad guy, but he's bitten into this idea that people need to view him a certain way that will help maybe that those viewers or that community kind of, continue what he's doing. And one thing I noticed with you, I've seen you like admit things or like, just flat out tell the truth about things. And I'm like, if I was a PR person that's trying to control that image, I would tell him, don't fucking say that.
Yeah, no, and
I don't see you avoid shit. You're not avoidant. And it's not even being self-deprecating. You'll just tell the truth. I like it.
Well, because I know I'm going to get caught, right? Like, I know that it's a lot easier for me to just be blunt and potentially embarrass myself rather than try to, go all the way out of my way to try to hide certain things about myself that are going to come out anyway. So at least let me control the narrative. And, I have PR people that work for me, and I give them a fucking headache every single day. So it's definitely a lot easier to be as authentic as possible if you're an IRL streamer, someone who's streaming 10, 12 hours a day, because you're going to slip up and you know, you might as well just from the jump be as real as it gets, I'd say.
Have you had like any regrets? You're like, man, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, there was the fucking one thing in the club that was probably the biggest headache because I couldn't go to any clubs in Miami for a long time.
You're good now though, right?
Yeah, I mean, like everyone realized, like, okay, like this kid, like he, you know, he was there and he was streaming, but he didn't fucking play the song, like whatever. So,
That was like a very interesting moment.
Yeah.
I think, you know, obviously, first of all, what did you take from the moment in maybe how important? Even, because I think, I remember looking on stream that day. I found it, I'm on Kick and your stream is going crazy. And I click on it and I see like all these guys. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What did you recognize, at least first, in terms of importance? I'm not sure if you live your day-to-day life and think that what I'm gonna do next, whether on stream or not, might be a TMZ headline or it might be documented on all news platforms. Did that give you a little bit of shock?
I knew that was gonna go big.
In the moment?
No, just the collab.
Okay.
I didn't anticipate that moment going big at all. I didn't even think that'd be a fucking moment because I figured, you know, oh well, this wouldn't even be allowed to be clipped up for short form media because it would be against the TOS. So I didn't really like anticipate that. I was kind of just intoxicated in the club. Someone put the song on, like, you know, I didn't really think much of it. But obviously, I woke up to all these headlines. I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely certain things that you can't talk about and you can't do. And I guess that's kind of what I figured out because, you know, I'm not a racist guy. I'm not an anti-Semitic guy, but I certainly like humor that's like edgy, that's over the line, that because that's what gets views a lot of the time is being controversial because people are like, oh, this is fucking crazy. Any controversy, that kind of helps my career in a way, but you know, there is a limit to it, certainly.
Thinking about that moment, why do you think he went big? Because you know, I spoke with Sneeko, and that the music video for that song was premiered on my stream.
Yeah.
Ye, formerly the artist known as Kanye West, he came on stream. He's like, "Ak, I'm gonna send it to you." I remember cutting all the other streams because I'm like, all right. I remember saying, "What does HH mean?" And they tell me, I'm like, all right, I'm off YouTube, so I premiere it. I'm obviously, people are looking at it mostly like I'm a music platform or music reviewer. So, you know, but generally, other than certain people kind of like, you know, having their comments about, yeah, no one said anything, at least from what I can see about me. Then no one said, hey, the fact that he didn't shut this down, the fact that he didn't turn the stream off or walk out, he's this. And I've also thought, I'm like, maybe because I'm black. You know what I mean?
I would say it's
Ye's
probably because you're black, yeah.
No, but what about that moment though? Like, so, but Sneeko was there, and Sneeko was there again with you.
Well,
Is
he's
it 'cause-
only like half black, so maybe. No, but there's also a lot of controversial. I mean, like with that lineup, it's like, you know what I mean. There's a lot more implication. There's a lot more noise involved than, you know, you just premiering it. And there are certain people like Nick who are like actually political figures, you know, so I get looped into that and like all this, you know, associated with right-wing politics when I'm really not political at all. That's the thing. It's like, you know, I like Nick and I'm friends with Nick. I got no problem collaborating, but in terms of politics, like I'm really not involved in that space at all. But I got no problem like doing collabs with Nick, Sneeko, whoever, who are all like political guys, but you know, that's just because we're friends for other reasons. You know, you see any collab I do with Sneeko and Nick, we're really talking about my side of the aisle because it's new, right? The looks, the implications of, you know, the dating market and the globalization of dating through Instagram. You know, these are the things we're doing. We're talking about looks maxing. You know, I'm not getting involved with like talking about Iran and all this kind of shit.
Yes, yeah. Moments that kind of blow up, it's always, sometimes I wonder what the secret sauce is. Do you think it's because Tate was there and Nick? Do you think if you remove any of the people, because that's what I've thought about, if you remove any of those people, if the Tates weren't there, does that moment happen? Like, for example,
I think you.
or is it the subject? Because, for example, I see you on stream with Blueface, and y'all rapping "Respect My Crip," and nobody in the black community is gonna be like, "Yo, he's kind of like, he's kind of signaling that, he likes black on black violence." Like, people like, they get it. They're like, it's just a fucking song, and he's a person singing a song.
Oh,
this is not even his idea, right?
Yeah, and even Wack talked about it on a podcast.
Yeah, no.
He's like, the fact that this song was able to transcend, like, the gangster community or whatever, the Crips, or whatever community that song would appeal to this white kid who really has no idea what the song means. I told him in Blueface, I'm like, I got no fucking idea what this song means, but I like it. It's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
It's one of the songs that would always blow up me singing it, because when I was coming up streaming. So when I got to meet Blueface and put the song, it was a bit of a cringe moment that I started rapping it, but I was like this is like a fucking huge moment, because from the moment that I started my streaming career, I was playing that song. That was like my theme song. We played it every day.
You like the song?
Yeah.
And
Wack was like, oh, this is cool. Nobody.
Trust me, there was no one has a problem.
Yeah.
And I guess I use that to ask the question: do you feel like, I've seen you kind of step away from the political stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ye necessarily meant to make a political statement with that song, but he did talk about a group of
Mm-hmm.
people who some might think are protected, or some people think are, they're very. I know for me, after, obviously my views doesn't really align with Ye in terms of everything he said about that group, but I kind of just stay away from talking about that group. Because honestly, like, I talk about hip hop, and have you kind of said that, like, whatever's going on with, Jewish people, or, things that might be, because there's a whole realm, I'm gonna leave that alone.
Well, the only thing that I've really ever said about Jews is, I'm like, this is a hugely powerful group of people who have a typically very high average IQ, and it's true. There's a lot of industry where there's a lot of success from the Jewish people, because they're smart, they stick together, they do whatever. So it's almost more of like an admiration for me. Okay, what is this group of people doing that's going so well and allowing them to have this much success? So it's like, okay, this is very admirable that only 2% of the population is able to have this much success in the United States. So it's nothing really beyond that for me. But yeah, absolutely, you're right. A lot of the talking points can certainly get you into a lot of trouble. People calling out like Israel and
I try to stay away from it.
Yeah, it's like,
and there is conversation to be had. It's just that, it's one of those things that is so divisive. Like, there isn't a way to have nuanced conversation, and people on both sides of the aisle don't.
I don't even avoid it for like, the PR, because I just avoid it because I got no fucking idea what's going on in Israel. Quite frankly, I got no idea. I don't give a shit. It's about like foreign wars. It's like, keep me away from that. Like, I don't even want to know. Like, if I see the news come on, I remember growing up, whenever I'd see my parents turn the news, I'd turn it off, or I'd go to the other room. I don't want to know. I want to remain ignorant.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, and it's really some. First of all, ever since I met you, I think I met you at Brand Risk. I've always, even before I met you, I've enjoyed your content. I think you're just a cool guy, and you're someone. I'm a math major. I could identify with people who I feel are logical. Mm-hmm. Like, when most of your opinions come from a place that isn't emotional, I could always identify with you. Mm-hmm. However, I do know, like, for example, I know there's a couple of like other black like Twitch creators, and when your name come up, they throw, he's racist. Yeah. And they'll point out a few things, like, even like, I'm telling people, I'm like, yo, because we had agreed to the date of, I was gonna be here. I did a show yesterday. I was like, yo, I told your team I was able to do this. Some of the people who were like African American that I'm cool with, they were like, yo, he's the guy who says the N-word, he's racist. And I'm like, I feel like I've seen a lot of your content, and I don't get a I'm racist vibe.
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth though. I guess, for those people who are probably saying, yo, why are you sitting with him? Even though I don't care about their opinion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But for those people who think you might like antagonize or whatever, or you have in the past, or maybe there's clips, how do you answer that question? And are you racist?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a good point, right? Because it's like the optics of you coming here, that might put you in a position with other people in your community that's like, okay, well, you're platforming this guy or you're letting this slide kind of thing is what I've seen.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm always confused about is like, what content have I really made that's racist? The only criticism or like technically like racist implication I could have is using the N-word. And it's like, it's not like I'm using the N-word with a hard R. It's like, it's when I'm in my Sprinter van.
Well, I think they said you did, didn't you?
No, never,
Wait,
It's like,
okay. So we're going to get factually correct here. So,
yeah, it's
and by the way, I think I didn't really fully like vet or see the content, but the implication of what they were telling me was like, hey, listen, he will troll, and who cares if it's troll, but we usually have a cutoff point where a white guy just saying the hard ER is just completely out of bounds.
But it's not like I've even said it in a troll way where it's like I'm being racist, but it's a joke. The only thing I've ever done is rap the N-word or say
it's saying nigga, just
yeah, exactly.
Not even the hard ER.
Right.
Oh,
that's
okay. Well, I didn't know.
saying. And it's just like it gets to a point where I'm like, is this racist? Like who's even being affected here? It's like any logical person I talk to, Wax on the interview the other day, he's singing a song like, what's the big fucking deal at the end of the day?
I said this about like 8 years ago.
But that's the other thing, and your next question is like, is he racist? Like I don't like when liberals come and do the I'm not racist like sob story appeal to God. Like, oh my God, and all this shit, because it's inauthentic. It's usually a script given to them through PR. It's more so like, just take a look at my actions and take a look at what everyone else has said. Every single person I've met has never had a problem with me. I've gotten along great with everyone. I
was going to say there's a lot of niggas back here if he's racist. But
yeah,
I do want to, and again, I
ridiculous.
I apologize for even some of these questions, because usually I like to have fact with it. I don't like to repeat what people have said if I haven't verified it, right? Like for example, like a friend of mine, they were like, "Yo, he said he would never fuck a black girl. That's why he's racist." And I don't know what the context was. I don't know if you're like, "Ooh, I just detest, like I would just never have sex with someone that's African American." I guess I'm trying to ask you to, not necessarily clear it up, but I want to hear it from you, because a lot of times what happens, there is racial sensitivity, and they'll put you as a label, and now it's a way to also kind of like separate people from even giving you a chance. And I think that's fucked up as well. They try to do it to Aiden. Like, trust me. Like, people say, they'll say like, "Isn't Aiden your racist buddy?" I'm like, Aiden's not fucking racist. But I know Aiden enough. I vouch for his character. The guy's not racist.
And it gets to the point where it's like, I'll give my actual answer on the subject where I'm like, no, I'm not fucking racist. Like, that's ridiculous. But if it gets to a point where it's like people keep saying or keep asking, it really just makes you want to say fuck you and just say, you know what, fine, just give me the label. Who gives a fuck? Because I'm not going to sit here defending myself forever. It's like I know what I am. Everyone.
That's the Nick Fuentes approach on Piers Morgan. I felt like they were just calling him names, and he was just like, "Okay, fine, all right, I am that. So what are we talking about next?"
It's just like, dude, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. Just honestly, fuck it, fine. I know I'm not. All the people I'm friends with, all the people I've done collabs, they know who I am. So that's all that matters.
So in having this conversation, again, I'm a little bit ignorant because I didn't see all the things that they're saying. I had a pushback, and I said, I think you guys might be thinking that Clav is racist because he's not pandering. There's a lot of people, especially white liberals, they'll pander to, like, I see the hip hop. Like there's a bunch of like figures that are Caucasian in hip hop, and they love black people more than black people like black people. They're like, these guys are the best. We just like soul food, and we're like, bro, stop the dick riding. Like, it's okay to say I'm a white guy and I'm cool. And I think I haven't seen you do the pandering, but not only to just African Americans, right? I haven't seen you pander to anyone, right? I don't see you pander to, like, there's any particular group where you're like, I'm trying to get you to like me, so I'm gonna overly act like I like you.
Right, because everyone knows it, right? Everyone knows when you're doing that. So it just like you said, it comes across cringe. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're just making a fool of yourself. It's like the white kids who dress up and want to be gangsters or whatever. Everyone knows what you're doing. So absolutely. I've never really had an interest in that.
It's. I had this conversation. And it's a cultural conversation. I had this conversation many years ago. And I said, listen, there's one particular concert, I think it was a Kendrick Lamar concert. He went to a college, and his music was wildly popular at the college. And one of the songs, it was from Good Kid, Mad City, came on, and it had the word nigga in it. And it was a bunch of, I think it might have been a URI, people could Google the clip.
Everyone, they're all singing the song.
And they all sing it, and he's a little bit shocked. But at the end of the day, it's like, just culturally, like, the main consumers of hip hop, all these guys are richer than they've ever been. Caucasians are the majority of the population. The hip hop isn't just something only consumed by like people in the hoods. It's consumed by everyone. Now, honestly, when I look at most young kids, even when I went to school, I saw Asian kids calling each other nigga. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the word, obviously I'm never gonna delete that it comes from a really, dark background, but the repurposing of that word in certain demographics is really as a colloquial use of expression that doesn't include that. And that's why if because I've seen people said, why would Blueface the Gangster allow, Clav to like sing that song? And I was like, I'm gonna be honest. Listen, I think I'm pretty, very conscious. I'm not like some guy who you could just completely disrespect me racially. But if you did that, I wouldn't be offended. Like I understand enough to be like, yo, he's singing a song. Like, what do you...
Right? Yeah, I know. And here's the other thing that I would keep in mind too for anyone watching. It's like if someone were to come up to me, or if I was doing a collab and someone says, "Hey, look, I just." I get uncomfortable with you saying the N-word or whatever. I'm not gonna say it. Like if someone were to genuinely come to me and say, this is just not something that I'd prefer if you didn't do it, and I'm collaborating, fine, whatever.
What about those guys that ran up?
Because I don't want to antagonize people. It's like I just want to be able to like sing a song in my Sprinter van, and not have a fucking social media outrage. I don't want to provoke people. I've never said it in really like provoking context, but sometimes people will come up to me, like you said, and they'll say the N-word.
Oh, no, I was talking about that clip. It was like 3 like black guys, but they were like so upset. And I don't know what exactly they seen, or maybe they just heard, because what happens is telephone. It's like, yo, that's the racist guy. And you've never seen them do some shit racist.
Someone paid those guys in that clip
really?
to go do that. Yeah.
They got paid to do that?
Yeah. Yep.
Like someone
gave them a few $100, yep, to go do that.
But it was a little interesting situation, and I remember kind of like giving you a little bit of credit, and I said, with the amount of people who look up to you, with what you represent, Stoicism is really important, right? The person who doesn't get flustered, the person who's not like, you can see the fear just emanating off of them, the person who is like, he's already just like shrinking into the person that he doesn't say he is. And I watched you and you were just like calm as fuck. Like you were just like chilling, and it wasn't a thing that you were like, hey, let's fucking fight. But you were like, I'm here. I'm not gonna retreat. I'm not gonna back down. In that moment, what are you thinking? Because it could have went left, right? Like if maybe now they were paid, but you probably didn't know then, right?
Yeah, I didn't know until after, but all I knew is I had a pistol tucked into my pants, and I was ready to use it.
You wouldn't do that on stream.
What?
You wouldn't do that on stream, though.
Do what?
And I guess this is always what I ask about IRL streamers. At what point in content you're like, because like, for example, you know, I'm doing stuff with your team and we're kind of going over ideas and they're like, what are you down to do? Well, I'm a pretty polarizing figure in hip hop. This is Music Week. Everybody who I don't like is here. You'll see there's increased security presence. We have other people. So I'm like, no, I want to do something with Clav that's a little bit like, you know, different. You know, I want to kind of get into his world and bring him into my world.
Absolutely.
But also I'm thinking, you know, so my security is like, you know what, well, we could do stuff, but I'm not sure if maybe we should suggest just like walking down the street or just walking around in Miami because you never know what happens. And we have to conceptualize or think about the idea of at what point does that stream end and real life begin in handling an issue? Because I've seen many instances with you and it feels like, you know, fortunately it's never gone that far, but I'm wondering where you draw that line to be like.
So really from the point I started streaming, there are certain things that would be like insane. So like even going to like the Fort Lauderdale downtown strip, after about my second week of streaming, I needed a security guard, even 2, right? And then now it's to the point where we have 6 full-time guards. So it's like we've got a team, and when we try to go out for spring break, I told my security, look, I just want to walk around and go up to girls. It genuinely was so fucking insane.
Hectic, huh? No, I've seen it. The clips are wild.
And here's the thing.
Do you get to have fun when you're doing that?
I have fun, but it's not, I wish I got to, you know, take it away for a second and sometimes be able to just go out and walk around the streets and just like do my old content where I was just cold approaching. But now it's like kind of, you know, one of my buddies talked about it the other day. It almost feels like inorganic or inauthentic because I'll walk outside and there will be 6 guards and girls will be screaming and I'm just like basically point and come over here and, you know, they're going. So it's like, I don't really get to do any like the pickup artist stuff that's fun or like cold approaching. So that's tough. But, and what I was saying before about the security is it's not even people hating that makes it, you know, really problematic. It's people just showing love, but they'll just be intoxicated. They'll be fucking high on cocaine. So they'll run at guards, like literally, they'll sprint at armed security guards and to try to get a photo with me, to try to shake my hand, whatever. So it just becomes like too much to the point where I can't even go. I can't even go IRL in some locations, you know.
Yeah. As I think about you potentially, you know, even you during the spring break time, I was kind of watching them and watching you getting overwhelmed so much. Other people are having a good time because they're seeing you and like you're adding on, like you're now a memory in their experience. And it made me think, and because you're a blunt and really rational guy, it's probably, with most creators, is probably, you can't see the forest from the trees. But I do wonder what you think about this. You're 20 years old, you've kind of like achieved, you went from 0 to like at the top of the sphere at this point in how many people, like you're a top 0.01% creator.
Yep.
I've watched over time, and I think, you know, respectfully, I think Kai Cenat's going through that now, where because, you know, it's like the Michael Jackson effect, where you kind of get fucked up that you're not allowed to do regular things, and you become like, you're like a machine. Like you're kind of just like, you're like in a circus. You show up, you don't get to do what a normal 20-year-old gets to do. You don't have on and off moments because cameras follow you. You make one minor fuck up, the news is outside, you get out of jail, you get a burger, you're back on camera. And a couple years down the line, it kind of wears down on you. And I think that's why Kai hasn't streamed a lot. I think he grinded is so crazy. And I think first time mentally, he's realized like, okay, you accomplished your goals, but it took a toll on you. Have you noticed any of that yet? Or have you kind of tried to prepare yourself for that coming?
I'm really good at adjusting, and I've had a lot of hardships throughout my life. So, like my parents like disowning me and all that kind of shit, getting thrown out of university and kicked out of the house, all that. So, in terms of readjusting to things, that's one of my best things that I can do, right? So there's really no problem there. It's because I know that there's more pros than cons, but the thing that I really like about my brand is I don't have to be like one of those manosphere guys who has this constant alpha persona that if it slips for even a second, it's a problem, right? The other day, I was thinking about the fact that basically all these girls, these OnlyFans girls, just want to be around for like, my status, for my viewership, for my money, and they wouldn't want to hang out off camera or if I didn't have any of that. And, I was getting pretty sad on camera. I was crying a little bit about it.
You did this on camera?
Yeah.
Really?
And the thing is, it's like I can show vulnerable moments because I was never supposed to be this like fucking, alpha male, military, Jocko Willing type of guy who's like, let's push up testosterone, all this shit. So sometimes I will have that, and I will have moments where I get a little emotional or things get hard. Like I'll get upset because like I'll miss my parents, miss my grandma, whatever. But I don't really have to hide it, and there's still a lot of grounding because, I got 2 roommates in this house that I've known for, about 2 years from the looks maxing community. So, that's still there. So like my previous life and the people that I talked to before all of this are still there. So it's good. I have everything I need. I have a good support system to where I feel good about everything that's happening.
Yeah, that's really important in what you said, though. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Many of your audience may not know, but I've been doing content for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was. It pushed me to different boundaries. When I knew I could, I've cried on stream. I've, had my best moments and some of my lowest moments on stream. And that's what kind of makes it where stream doesn't become destructive to your mental, right? Because when you have to be the on guy and you can't, again, I don't think there's no peptide to just completely eliminate dealing with actual emotions and, human longingness. You're gonna go through those moments. And if you're on camera all the time and it's like, no, they want you to do a happy stream and you're like, I'm feeling like shit. But you gotta get happy. So either drug yourself or do something to feel like that, you're gonna crash at some point.
No, yeah, and the thing, another recent example of that was at Brand Risk, right? The last Brand Risk I went, I was pretty much sober, and there was a lot of interviews going on, and like just a lot happening. It's a very like stimulating environment to be in that warehouse with the super bright LED, lights like shining down on you, and there's no music going on, and it's a very high pressure environment, right? Where most of the time when I'm talking to college kids, the stakes are basically zero, right? You blow that interaction, that first impression doesn't matter. But every single person you talk to in that warehouse on Brand Risk is somebody. Everything you do and say matters, right? So that pressure really got to me, and I was about to go up and commentate because I had asked Aiden. I said, Aiden, could I commentate on a couple of these fights? And he set it. Him and Jordan set it up. So appreciate them for that. But then I was like, there was just so much pressure that I had a panic attack, and I had to leave very quickly, because I thought I felt my chest like it was about to fucking cave in, so I could barely breathe, and everyone was saying like, like L Clav for leaving the Brand Risk, whatever. And it's like, dude, like I had to go, and I was trying to remain as calm as I could, but I said in my stream, I was like, guys, like I'm fucked here. Like I gotta get the hell out of here. I grabbed a bottle of Don Julio.
Oh, you drink alcohol?
I had to.
Okay.
Because I was like, I just need to calm myself down. And I started sculling a bottle of tequila just to calm myself down. So like my stream knows, like there's shit that gets to me. There's shit that's very difficult. And that was one of those environments. I talk about all the time how in a lot of environments, I have to intoxicate myself in some way to interact with normal people because it's too hard for me.
So let's get to the point or the reason for that. Is it to put yourself in a particular state of mind or a state of emotional sense, or is it to kind of, because I remember thinking about alcohol the same. People would say, that's not him. He is drinking to become what we have liked. And I did think about it for a minute because people started saying it a lot. I do like drinking. I drink a lot. I'm drinking now. And I was like, am I drinking to become what they like? Or am I drinking to kind of almost like create like this mood of where I'm like, I'm operating in kind of almost like a baseline level?
Correct. Yeah. No. And so my point with the whole thing is, people expect this level of professionalism, this level of sociability. Because I'm a content creator, they expect I know how to act a certain way. But I'm 20 years old. No one ever taught me how to do any of this. Like I don't know how to go into these big crowds and interact. So it's kind of like a crutch I have to give myself because like growing up, I was never a social guy. So yeah, it's really about like becoming just a version of yourself that they can like, right? And reducing your anxiety to the point where you can have these interactions without being super self-conscious about everything you say and do, which is a really tough thing for longevity because if you're having to intoxicate yourself to do these social outings, you have to limit the amount of them you could do or else you're going to become a fucking drug addict. So it's quite sad, and I wish I was a normal guy, but I'm a neurodivergent, right? So it's not the easiest thing in the world for me to be in a big crowd of people, whatever.
To continue kind of down that realm of kind of understanding. So do you, in terms of like what you use in terms of any type of drug, right? So we're not talking about peptides. We were just like
talking
just
about
drugs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it kind of recreational where you might not do it if you're not on a camera or in a pressurized situation, or do you only, it's a use situation, like, hey, I'm going to be on camera, on stage, let me take this? Because that's the thing with me, that's what I realized. I started drinking at 10 o'clock, like no camera on. I'm already poured up a drink. Yeah, that is a problem. But still, but what I'm saying is that the idea of how I use alcohol isn't, okay, you need to use it to get through a stream. It's been just a lifestyle choice of mine, right? And I guess I'm trying to figure out you and your use of drugs. Is it to, at least in the interim, deal with these moments, or
to deal with these moments? Yeah, to be able to get through these high pressure social events. I tried to go to the club, fully sober one night, and I had to leave after about 5 or 10 minutes because I saw everyone looking at me, and I was pretty anxious, and I was like, get me the fuck out of here, because it's not like, you have thousands of people watching. I think we had like 30,000 live viewers at the time. So every single thing I did, I was self-conscious of. The way that I was standing, the way that I would go and grab a drink. Because it's not like you're that one guy who's in the corner of the room who, you have this thought in your head that everyone's looking at you. Why am I so weird? And you're basically just, but no one even knows you're there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, every single person is actually looking at me, and so that amount of self-consciousness really like got to me, and I was like, nope, fuck this, I'm out. That's why
that's normal. I'll tell you this. There I remember going through that phase. Obviously, I think, the microscope on you right now is just so insane. But I remember when I thought that as well, where, I felt people would, especially when I walked in somewhere and they wouldn't say something to me, but they'd whisper to someone. And it was almost like they were pointing with their eyes. It's like, that's the guy from social media. And now I'm kind of like almost like looking like, I wonder what they're saying, but they're not saying nothing to me. And I remember it made me not go out as much until I developed a mindset to say, when you leave the house, it's funny, I went viral because my DoorDash stuff, like my DoorDash orders, I ordered everything on DoorDash. It leaked. Like, it's my email that has all the orders. And everyone was like, it was funny. But the reason why I do that, like I even told my brother, I'll DoorDash a bottle of water. Because in my mind, and I think this is all creators, you have to get past it. You're trying to get past it now. For me, I feel I'm public property when I leave the house. The only way not to be public property, you got to stay in the house.
Right.
So the moment I leave the house, I don't care what I do. I belong to the people. It could be someone who watched me one time, they see one TikTok of me, they could hate me. So that becomes pressure at a point. Because let's say, like, you have an insecure moment. Like, you kind of feel like, yo, I look crazy right now, or oh, I don't have a haircut, or whatever. Like, you now are kind of, I think Rob Kardashian went through that too.
Yeah, well,
It makes you reclusive.
yeah, I mean, it really is nice that we don't have to, put on this constant act. And when you do have those moments, it's like, okay, you can just tell your stream, like, I didn't have to come up with some fucking excuse. I said, guys, like, I can't do this. I got to get the fuck out of the club. And, people understand, they understand what it's like to be non-neurotypical, because that's a lot of the Looksmax community. That's where it came from. It came from people who have autism, people who are, social recluses a lot of the time. So there's really nothing new there. It's not like Looksmaxing was started by, like, frat guys and, high school football players. It's not what it was. It was started by autists,
I watched a couple clips. You were like in a college setting. Did you feel any type of pressure to kind of more acclimate to them? Because I feel like at your core, that's not you. But then when you see that you inspire them, you might be like, well, okay, yeah, I'm cool. I'm with all the partying. Let's rage. Let's do X, Y, and Z. Did you feel a little bit pressure to acclimate to them, or you're like, no, I'm being me still?
I'm being me. Like, I don't feel pressure in that regard, because it's so low stakes. It's like, who gives a fuck if a bunch of kids at a college party like me or don't? I still use the lingo that I do. I'll still, like, if I don't want to drink that night, I won't feel pressure to drink. But a lot of the times, I don't mind. No, but I mean, like, partying and rec stuff, the reason I would say I'm, like, pretty normal with that is because I worked in nightlife for so long.
Did you?
Yeah, I worked
When?
as
You're 20. I've seen you at clubs, and I'm like, I ain't trying to
I've lived
like, how the hell is he in the club?
I've lived a lot of lives. Let's just say that. So, and there's videos of me, because I was a guard for this one lady at Barstool one time, and the clip went viral, like back in the day when I was like 3 years ago or whatever.
When you were like 17?
Not gonna say how old I was, but yeah, I've been working in nightlife for a long time. So, but yeah, no, it was bad. I mean, I was drinking almost a whole bottle of alcohol every single day, doing cocaine every single day. So yeah, no, it was like the recreational habits are terrible, but I for the most part, quit drinking, quit doing cocaine a couple months back. So I'm pretty good about everything now, and I kind of just take what I need to function in terms of, like, anxiety medication, like, or taking something like a pregabalin that blocks, like, neurotransmitters that give you anxiety. So I'll just do that, and it's not as taxing to my body.
You mentioned, well, there's two questions. I'm trying to ask them back to back. How much do you actually believe? I remember you talking about a particular, I don't know if it's necessarily a peptide, but it's something for, you genuinely expressed, at least in the interview that I watched, that you believe it helps you become smarter. And there was a scientific reason behind it because you say that it helps the neurons, it strengthens those pathways and all that, which would lead to someone being smarter. But do you actually believe those medications would actually make someone
100%. Yeah. So I don't know what exactly you're referring to.
I think it might have been
What letter does it start with?
Semex or something of the sort.
Semax, or maybe it was cerebrolysine.
Okay.
But these are nootropics that have been super well researched, and there's also ones that haven't been as well researched, like dihexa. There's no human trials. There's only mouse studies, but there's enough information for me to make the logical conclusion that the mechanism in which it works would be super beneficial to humans and would cause synaptogenesis, which means your brain would create new brain synapses. And IQ maxing and making sure you're as smart as possible is one of the most important things, because a lot of the times, and a lot of the barrier to entry for looks maxing is people aren't fucking smart enough to use testosterone or use peptides in the correct way to make sure they're not getting side effects like hair loss, acne, and whatever, and they're actually descending themselves. So IQ is a huge part of it.
What are you? I don't know if you mind sharing. What do you take on a daily or weekly basis? Just currently, and what would you suggest for, let's go someone my age range, so mid-30s, and actually just looks like me. So to go with you, and then, obviously I know you're not a physician or anything, but you do seem very educated, so I'm wondering where your baseline is with both ideas.
Well, as you get into your 30s, you start to experience a decline in your testosterone levels. So that's probably the building block in any stack that I would recommend to people around your age would be hopping on TRT. So go to your doctor, get your levels checked. I'm sure they're a lot lower than when you were 21 years old or my age, whatever.
When you take testosterone, so that's almost like the building blocks of steroids, right? Or it is steroids, right?
It is.
Okay.
But it's bioidentical. It's already in your body. You're just getting it exogenously from an oil, and it's synthesized versus your body making it in your testicles.
Doesn't that stop your body from producing any testosterone, which means you become dependent on it? And that's why people get some of these other side effects of whether it's balding or whatever else.
The side effects of testosterone will be the same from being a natural or being enhanced. But when you're enhanced, typically you're taking more testosterone than the average person would have. So you're more prone to side effects. But if you have a certain amount of testosterone, let's say 1,000 nanograms per deciliter, endogenously, which would be very unlikely, and then you take an amount of tests that would give you 1,000 nanograms per deciliter exogenously, be the same thing, right? The only thing that would occur is there wouldn't be any production in your balls, and you would have some fertility.
So you become almost like sterile in a way.
And it's not guaranteed. It's a process that happens over time, and it's not even 100% chance from just testosterone. But if you're taking other things like Anavar or like Tren, these metabolites are a lot more likely to make you infertile, which is a temporary thing, I should note as well, because I'm technically infertile, but it's temporary. If I wanted to, restore my fertility,
are you on? Was it TRT?
I'm on TRT.
Really?
And I'll experiment and I'll throw in other things. Sometimes I'll throw in a pin of Tren, whatever. I'll throw in some Anavar. So I'm infertile, but it's nice because I don't have to worry about baby mama drama or any shit like that at the age of 20 years old. I could restart it in a second if I wanted to.
So your physique, right? I'm not too sure how much you're working out. Usually when I think about people on steroids, I think about people like just super ripped, just ripping out their shirts. You look built, but you look pretty, not like, oh, you're about to go compete as a bodybuilder.
Because I don't train. That's the thing. Steroids without training do nothing. right? So
why take them?
well, the reason you want to take testosterone is, your energy levels are going to be restored to how you felt as a 20-year-old. Your sleep is going to be a lot better. You just feel how a man should when your testosterone levels are super high. And you're never going to be able to take any amount of natural supplements, do any diet that's going to put you anywhere close to what TRT could, right? You're going to be able to easily be 2.5x of a natural. And that's essentially the building block of any stack, because once you're already suppressed, it doesn't matter if you do a 10-week cycle of Anavar to get really ripped or whatever, because you're already suppressed. So I would start with that if I were you. I've been on testosterone since I was 14 years old.
Isn't that illegal? I feel like the baseball guys went to jail for that. Or am I tripping?
That's cheating, right? There's as long as you're not competing in major league sports.
Oh, so isn't that, so it's not like a scheduled drug?
No, it's not a scheduled drug. You have to. It's a prescription drug, so you have to get it prescribed by a doctor. But no, you won't go to jail for it, even if you don't have a prescription. As long as you're not competing or cheating in any sports, in the UFC, that kind of shit, you'll be fine. So I'd start with that. You're gonna start feeling a lot better right off the bat after a couple weeks. And
Somebody look like Vin Diesel on these motherfuckers.
you're gonna start recomping your physique. So that means you're gonna have less fat and more muscle on your frame.
What about people like The Rock? You think he's like, is he like natural, or you think he like?
No, The Rock is on a shitload of testosterone, a shitload
Think
of
so?
DECA. He's on a shitload of steroids. Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. That might even be.
I think he's always denied it. He's like, yo, he's just, they just say he's Samoan or some shit. That's the thing.
No,
They're like, yo, this nigga's Samoan.
I thought that he was open about his steroid usage, his cycles. I'm pretty sure they get posted.
I think he's been lying about it.
Oh,
He's just
maybe.
been like,
No, if I had to guess, maybe someone could fact check that. Is The Rock open about his steroid usage? She might be.
About to fact check it. But
Yeah.
guys, we can start moving to the next segment because it's an hour late.
What time is it now?
6:30.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
gotta,
Start heading out?
yeah, but we can finish the conversation.
yeah, that's what it is.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
flying around right here.
So really to finish up, so you would suggest TRT, go ahead.
Well, why don't we just finish the conversation in the car? No? I think we're...
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, if that works for you.
Yeah, come on.
I may even join you